Right on indeed. Welcome to Belonging Songs. It's the podcast that brings you a new original song with each episode, and then we talk about the theme of that song and the processes that went into writing and recording it and the changes that get made to that song along the way. I'm your host, Wade Dana. With me today in the studio, Bradley J. Maurer.
Hi.
Chad A. Kelton?
Yes,
Is that right?
yes. Hello.
Okay.
A?
A?
You got it.
I started that without knowing where it was going. I did Brad's middle name, and I was like, oh, now I need to think a second.
Wadley S.
Yep,
Dana.
Yep. So no Patrick today, just the three of us here in the studio, and we're here to talk about another one of our instrumental I'm In Ya songs from back in the day that we're redoing. This one's called I Like To Eat Fingernails. Brad, what are your thoughts on that title?
I've done it.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
So we're back after our long break. Actually, this is we'll scratch that. Scratch that. Because I'm assuming everybody's listened to Brad's ingredient song, because I'm going to schedule this to come out later. Mm-hmm. But after the last episode of the first half of Season 3, Near Death Experience, this song here is the only thing I've really been working on. It's been, a couple weeks since we recorded that. Mm-hmm. I kind of just took time off and putzed around on this song a little bit, which was already kind of a little ways along. We had been recording on it. I finished that, so I've been taking a break. But today we're here to record this and the aforementioned Brad's ingredient song, which is entitled something that I don't even know yet, but you do, listeners.
Oh, they do?
They do, because they've already heard it. Yeah.
Oh, Christ.
And
Time machine's all messed up.
Yeah, we've got a time machine, so this will all work itself out. Did I say it's been a while since we recorded?
What would the us do?
Right.
We were, I don't know, I don't remember how that line goes, but.
So yeah, we're going to listen to a very old cassette demo like we've been doing for these instrumental redos. This is another one of the songs from the band that Chad and I were in when we were wee lads. Mm-hmm. So the cassette demo will have been recorded likely in my mother's basement, circa 1997, 98. Ish. This was another one of our early songs, so in the handful of, first 5-10 songs that we wrote when we were doing that.
What were you driving in 1998?
Ooh.
That was Ranger time.
I had the
Ranger?
Yeah, Ford Ranger. Yeah, blue, 1991 Ford Ranger.
Right on.
Now, my first car was a 1986 Ford Escort. White, red stripe.
Hatchback?
Red pinstripe hatchback.
Yeah. Had to be.
Yeah. Something about your first car, no matter how crappy it is. I still think very fondly of that.
Same.
Like, I loved that car.
Uh-huh.
It was like a manual transmission, 4-gear.
Yeah, buddy.
Roast the tires at will.
Chad, what were you driving in 97?
97 would have been my hatchback. The Cavalier.
The Cavalier?
The blue Cavalier.
That was your first car,
hatchback.
too,
That
right?
was also my first car.
Oh, so you had it for a while then.
I had it until 99, I believe. 98.
It's funny that you mentioned cars, because when we were in the band before this, our high school band, which was called Abhor.
Uh-huh.
And some of these songs stem from that, which was basically us learning how to play instruments, mostly just terrible noise and
screaming.
Chad could play drums, but he would usually just have to do drum solos while we just fiddled around and was screaming and stuff. Chad and I worked at the rental place that is family owned in Fowlerville.
Oh yeah, Copeland Rental. They have everything I need for the yard: mowers, rototillers, wood chippers.
Let's see, I'll need paper supplies, dishes, balloons. I'm glad Copeland Rental has everything we need.
What we need is another room.
Sure.
Copeland Rental on Grand River, Fowlerville.
And across the street, there was a car wash. And if we were in the yard of the rental place, you look out and you would see our cars with the car wash in back. And I always wanted to get all the band members' cars lined up there to take a picture and then have people at the car wash washing their cars. And I wanted to make their faces skulls in the background. That was my idea. And I wanted all of our license plate to spell out the band name. It never happened, but that was the idea.
That was the idea. It's a good concept.
Yeah, that was the concept.
The fence is still there.
Yep.
Yeah, so we could do it.
Chad and I had a lot of fun in that job.
We did.
So we would drive around setting up tents when we weren't working in the rental yard, filling propane and renting out stuff.
No, it was a lot of fun.
Chad would often drive the cube van. we'd get at it pretty early. So it'd be like, I don't know, 7 a.m. We'd be driving out to our first, place to set up a tent.
I thought of this just the other day. I know exactly where you're going.
And almost every day, I would just wait and just watch Chad and be all quiet, and then I'd scream really loud, just like high-pitched scream, just to scare him. And it pretty much did that every single day with this poor kid.
It got me up.
And it wasn't just a scream; it was a like really loud,
very high pitch, and a ringy box fan.
Yep. We got pulled over one time because we were switching driver and passenger seat on the road.
Jumping around in the back of the van at the same time, trying to shake it.
Let's see, one time we also
that was in Williamston. Yeah, we got pulled over.
We also stalled. The van broke down on a set of train tracks. Remember that in Howell?
I don't remember that.
Yeah,
That's where it rolled to and stop. You're like, oh boy. All right, so that was the era.
Yep. So
this was the era.
There was a lot going on.
Wait, we didn't get to your car.
I had a 1988 S10.
Okay.
Two-tone, so black with the red.
Two-tone because you had to replace parts on it?
No.
Oh,
No, it had the red stripe like they used to,
Gotcha.
like the old school ones with the trim pieces.
Yeah.
I remember it was $800.
Yeah.
4-wheel drive.
Oh, dang.
And,
S10s were popular.
Yeah, I blew that thing up.
I think that Escort, was like $550.
Yeah.
My mom had to drive that Cavalier for some reason, and after she drove it, she told me that I had to get a new car.
Yeah.
I drove I'm sure everybody's enthralled by our car talk.
Oh, they're probably remembering their first car, I hope.
This is more of a Pots and Pots podcast, but that Escort, it didn't die. I had to drive it to the junkyard, but the back strut just rusted out and fell in. So the wheel was rubbing up against the frame. And at one point I took it off and just oiled it up, greased it up. So I could at least drive it around town.
Wow.
And then it made it all the way to the junkyard. And the seats for it, I pulled out because I was in love with the stupid car. And they're still in my mom's basement. I'm sure she really appreciates that they're still there. Okay, we should listen to this demo.
All right, yeah.
So cassette
now
demo.
That we have that headspace.
Yeah. And I let these guys know ahead of time, like we did in our last episode, that we might talk through this, and I'll edit it in as we listen to this demo. And we might not. We'll see how it goes. That's the sweet Digitech tone.
What were you stepping on there?
RP5.
Right on.
Through the Lanny. Chad liked the Lanny.
I hated that.
The Laney. Where'd you buy the Digitech?
My dad gave it to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Whatever happened to that Laney you had? Did that blow up?
Oh, yeah.
Did it?
And then I got my music band. But I had that for a long time.
Yeah, I remember. That's a sweet amp.
You think?
Yeah.
I thought about getting another one just to fuck with Chad.
Yeah.
Show up to his house with the same one.
Leave it there.
Because he hated it.
So he could stare at it all the time.
This is just you and me on this demo.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I kept waiting for the bass to drop.
No bass. Possibly could be before we even had a bass player.
It could have been. We often just recorded anyway at that point.
I mean, a lot of times it was just you and me down there playing. All right, so there's a little taste of that song. We were talking there a little bit. That was just Chad and I in the basement. Oftentimes it would just be the two of us, especially when we were writing the songs. Chad asked if I couldn't find a demo with vocals on it because we did have our friend Daryl singing on stuff. Well, not really singing, but making noises and stuff. And this song in particular, I still always hear his vocals.
Yeah.
in the towards the end where it's like dun 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 dun, because he would say, "Don't you know that I think he was gonna say like to eat fingernails, but I do have versions like that. But I figured we're starting at the beginning here, so
Well, the new one's not going to have any.
yeah. I mean, unless someday he wants to put them on. I know that this is the first song that we've done where we're not changing the arrangement in the redo. Like the other two songs we've done, we've shortened up a bit just because they got a little redundant. This one had pretty good arrangement, I think, and we didn't change that. Ooh, got a strobe light going on here by Brad in the ceiling.
The recording light came on.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah, that thing is like Bluetooth, so like
Well, it's,
somebody's phone could be triggering
Apparently.
it. Oh, I thought it was the light
no,
in
it
the
was
ceiling.
the
There's
recording
a recording
sign.
sign.
All right. I have a recording sign down in the studio here that lights up. Actually, Brad got it for me when I built this studio, and it just decided to go. It could be a ghost.
Could be a ghost.
Could be a ghost, probably. We'll say it's a haunting.
Where's the remote?
It's right here. But it doesn't work. Doesn't do anything if I turn it on anymore.
Yeah, I bought him a piece of shit.
Here, now,
Basically,
if I hit these two buttons, I found out that it does. Well, it did something, but yeah, anyway, we should move on.
Maybe it just blew up.
Maybe. So yeah, that's the demo of the song. I remember the first time we played this in front of people. I don't know why this memory sticks out for me, but it was debuted in our friend Sam's garage. He probably had like a handful of people over, and I remember it just sticks out in my mind that was the first time we played it in front of people, and me being like, "Oh, cool. People are going to hear it, and nobody cares, you know." And I'm sure nobody even listened. It's kind of like this podcast.
Not a lot of people walking around with that fond memory.
Right.
Oh man,
It's just me.
when I first heard that was badass.
So,
I kind
you
of
know,
remember that.
parents away for the night, and we set up and played in his garage. So shout out to Sam. Shout out to his parents. So any thoughts on that, Brad, Chad?
I like it.
Yeah.
That's about all I got.
All right, great.
Is what it is.
Yeah.
So now we have a version that we've redone. Hopefully you'll like this one better.
Right on.
And not much to say. Like I said, we didn't change the arrangement. I didn't do a bunch of crazy effects on this. I think just a little delay. And there's one type of effect I put in this mix that we'll talk about afterwards, but we might as well just listen to this jammer and talk about that, and then we'll get out of here.
Hell yeah.
So- Oh, and I haven't gotten like mixed feedback. You guys are the first people to hear this. I didn't send this one in.
Sharpen
Just,
my pencil here. real
Yeah, so if there is anything that stands out to you that you think needs to be tweaked, I definitely want to know how you're feeling. Okay, sorry. Brad, have you sat in on one of these iMenu ones yet?
The session
Yeah,
or the record of this?
Yeah, this podcast.
Feels like I did the first one.
Okay,
Maybe half of it.
cool.
You might have.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm in. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
No, it's awesome. It's awesome. The only note I had was awesome rhythm guitar tone.
Oh, so I
like
really
the center one.
tried to accent Matt.
Mm-hmm.
Are you talking about the dun,
All
dun,
that, yeah,
the stuff
that
following?
the beefy kind of one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. That tone, and the drums sound really good. I do
Cool.
like that.
I liked your long, ringy distortion overdubs
Yeah.
over that one part where you just kind of let them go.
Oh yeah, in the middle.
Yep, right in the, let them carry out. And
Dun.
those
Again,
sound,
those
see,
I
they
was
sound way better than the Laney.
accenting the bass on those, but like letting those ring out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's the. I've heard a lot of the songs, but with bells and whistles and like the complete thought.
Yeah.
it's pretty cool to hear like the complete thought to get all those extra meat in it, and you can hear the bass really well. Which sometimes when we're playing live, you can only feel it.
Yeah, I have a note about the bass. So when Matt comes over to record the bass, it's pretty much the only time I use these big speakers in here.
Yeah.
I just like to. I'm like, hey, you want the big speakers? And he goes, yeah. so he stands in here, and
That's worth it.
yeah, it is. We blare the big speakers, and he plays along to it. I did a lot of panning of the main guitar and the other guitars. So there's like the main guitar, which is basically how we just normally played it and have throughout these years. And then I have like 4, maybe 6 accent tracks with the SG and that Marshall lead. And those are the thick.
I was gonna say
back.
it sounds like the SG. Sorry,
Yeah.
I should have said that on the mic, but yeah.
Yeah, so the main guitars, I'm recording everything with my Fender Lead 2, because that was the guitar I used for this project. And but I'm beefing it up with the SG and the Marshall there. Again, with the sections of the songs, I tried to add interest by panning. So anytime we do like that, the guitars like all come to the center. And then when it gets that thick,
When it gets slower,
chords,
opens up. Yeah.
the panning
out.
opens
Yeah, I
up.
like
Yeah.
that.
And that was a trick I just learned from getting feedback from other people. So it's not so static
Yeah.
all the way
Changes
through. It
focus.
just changes. Yeah,
Yeah.
it changes the focus. And I think that's an effective way to handle these,
I think that's pretty cool.
especially instrumental
Sounded good.
songs.
Yeah. And with a lot of parts.
Yeah.
To keep the interest.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it brings the parts.
Yeah, instead of just everything just statically going by throughout the whole thing,
good
it
idea.
just adds a little more flavor.
And it's one of those things where I only noticed it now that you said it.
Yeah,
But the song sounded more interesting listening to it in reflection.
So if
probably
you go back,
because of that. Yeah.
yeah, definitely pay attention to how those things kind of focus and then spread out throughout the mix. Also tried to add a little interest, especially in that beginning part with some reverb and delay. And reverb and delay is mostly the only effect I used in this. So I added some pretty heavy reverb to your toms in that beginning, especially that high tom you use.
They sounded rounded.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty cool.
and then a little bit of slap delay just to help them fill out just a little more because they're such a feature of that beginning. Then I also added a little bit of delay to my guitar and reverb. A note on adding delay to songs we did not use a click track for.
I was just going to bring that up because we ditched the click track. We tried in the beginning with this one.
Yeah.
And then because of the changes and the way the song carried, we had to ditch it. And then I felt like I was draggy in the beginning
Really?
a little bit. Like some parts where it was a little draggy coming back in and switches.
Makes it very hard to use delay throws.
Yeah.
To longer ones. I tried a couple and I would get it to line up, and then the further it goes, they just, as
It's
we're
crazy.
fluctuating, it just
Yeah,
sounds terrible. So
exactly.
the only way I can do it then is to actually record that delay throw to another track and then splice it up
Manipulate
and
it.
put it where I want because it's not lined up. So I didn't use any long ones. I was going to, and I did play around with that, but ultimately ended up not. And I used more of slap delay, which is more of a very fast delay.
Yeah, quick hit.
It doesn't really have to be in time. It's,
Yeah.
it's just more of a,
Almost like an echo.
really subtle, just to add a little more depth to the toms in the beginning and the guitar in the beginning there. The only other effect I used was during that slow part where you had mentioned the long guitar notes distorted in the background. There's that lead guitar. I did put a like reverse swirling type of effect.
So make it a
it's
little
like
more ambient.
It's like a delay effect with reverb on it, but the delays are being reversed.
Got it.
So yeah, it gives it kind of a swirling effect.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Nice.
Almost sounds a little flangey through there. I
Yep.
wasn't sure.
Yeah.
My first guess was going to be like you put something on the overheads or something, like the cymbals, but
No, it's on that guitar.
Yeah.
Because the main guitar is pretty wimpy there compared to like what's going on around it.
Yeah,
so it
so
needed
that-
something to fill it out. And that effect coupled with those distorted open chords really helped to make that more of a feature. And then the song comes back with the big, thick, chunky guitars. And like that demo, when the distortion kicked out, we were like, ooh, that'll like knock your face off because
Yeah.
it's very mid-rangey and high. Yeah.
Bottom drops out.
And that was a combination of the amplifier I was using and the effects processor, which I had mentioned was the Digitech RP5, a very early pedal. For some reason, that setting was the one I would use the most. I think it was F24, if I remember correctly. And
pretty good for ripping solos
but
back in the day, though.
so that was the effect I used for my distortion, and it's like very gnarly and very not chunky at all.
Yeah.
And I remember we had mentioned Daryl, our friend who played with us a bit and did vocals and stuff, but his complaint was always like, your guitars are like not tough sounding, like a lot, like not chunky. So definitely something I wanted to remedy with this redo is make them more chunky, especially the end of this song needs that.
You can tell you were focused on that a little bit because there is some beef there.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Speaking of that Digitech pedal, that was the only pedal I had during this era. My dad gave it to me. And even though the sounds aren't great, actually, I'm going to be using it on one of these redos because there's a very specific sound for one of the songs. Well, the original one didn't. I had to buy another one because remember, we mentioned our friend Sam. We played at a party at his house in East Lansing one time, or Hazlitt, or I don't know, somewhere by Michigan State. And we played in his basement, and the basement ended up flooding.
Oh, yeah.
And our stuff was down there. And
That
it
was
like
on Hazlitt.
completely submerged.
Hazlitt Road.
It ended up working after that, but it was never the same after it dried out. So I ended up buying another one because I had different programs and sequences for all of the songs we played, especially the really long song we had that we called The Show, which was just a group of songs put together. I would manually edit the user banks because you could have factory and then user ones. I would copy all the sounds I wanted to the user bank and then had it set up so I would start like on number 12, and by the end of the song I'd worked down to number 1.
So you just hit and
each one had a different setting and combination. So the RP5 had like 5 different effects for each bank. I would spend so much time back then. Every little part of the song would have its own effect and things going on. And as it all progressed, I would work down this thing.
So you just had to hit an arrow every
time.
time?
I had a foot switch that would go up or down. So
exactly.
I would,
You just hitting the down arrow.
So a lot of these songs had things like that. Like, I need to go to user setting, whatever, 24 for this song.
Yeah.
And within that song would be the 5 different effects. And some songs would be, this song is 12 of these banks, So I don't do stuff like that anymore. Like, you just don't have the time as you get older to be as invested in the creative process sometimes, to where you could just spend hours at night tweaking a pedal, and then take all these songs you record and put them onto these cassettes. I mean, I do a lot of work.
I would agree with that because I have a pretty legit delay pedal, right?
That's very complex.
Very complex. There's
how much do you know about
dip
it?
switches on it and stuff, and I'm like, I don't have time to mess with this thing to find a sound I want, so I just mess with it real quick. But
when you were
I found the
17,
one sound I would have been way deep into that thing.
Right?
Like,
something that you have to keep in mind and try not to lose as you get older is that sense of wanting to explore these things and be creative with them. It's easy to lose sight of that sometimes. Just be like, I'm busy, so...
One thing I do play around with now is pedal order and combinations of pedals. So like I have a couple distortion pedals, and when we play, I'm always trying to combine them, come up with the right sound.
Brad's been working on his rock and roll ending.
Sometimes it's the wrong sound. But the Paul Schaefer ending's coming together though. On every song.
Inside joke for listeners. Like Chad's not the biggest fan of doing the rock and roll ending.
Chad will allow one a night.
We try to throw him in.
The goal of us is to try to figure out which one it belongs on that night, so we do it on every one.
We're working on the rock and roll intro too.
Coming along good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm always excited to get these done. It's been really fun to polish these up and then listen to them. And our friend Matt, the bass player, he was saying that he was playing the ones we just did for like his wife and his brother, and they were always, at our shows and stuff back then. And he said, it was really awesome to hear them come together, and that the people he was playing them for, like, it really brought back a lot of memories and nostalgia to hear these, because there was a lot of people, like, we would play quite often, and a lot of more people used to come to see us play back then, because
it's what you did.
It's what you did. Yeah, we were young and we would go out. Now I want to be in bed by 8:30.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to be in bed. I just want to be home.
Yeah.
Fun. I'm glad we got this one done. We're gonna set our sights on another one. I'm thinking we might try and get 2 more of these in this season. I haven't really worked out the schedule yet, but excited
they go down
to do
pretty fast.
Yeah. So I've got
the songs are made, right? So it's and you're
just
pretty good at
record 'em.
memorizing, like you know them. So
yeah, actually we
clean.
played one
the
last
other
Friday.
day. Yeah, these guys will bust them out every once in a while, and I'll try to pretend like I know what's going on, and I don't.
Anything else anybody wants to say about I Like To Eat Fingernails? Besides, Brad's done it. I've done it. Jed, how many fingernails have you taken down in your life, would you say? In pounds.
I can't imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But how many mason jars full of fingernails, Brad,
a
you think
few.
you've eaten?
I mean, typically I
typically just do that outside.
But, yeah.
And like we had mentioned before, like, the titles mean nothing, just ways for us to memorize
Identify
these
the
songs.
songs.
Yeah. So if anybody's wondering. So yeah, another one in the books. We're going to get out of here. Please, if you like this show, give it a 5-star rating on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. It's been
smash that.
It's
like
been
and
so
subscribe.
long since anybody's done that.
Smash it.
Nobody's smashing it, but it'd be
Smash
great
it.
if somebody did.
I rated 2, I think.
Okay. All right.
That counts.
Check us out on Instagram. We do have a Facebook page where I'll put lyrics and stuff. Check out our store. We got t-shirts. We got stickers. They're cool. There's art prints. Definitely check that out. I got some new sticker ideas in the brain here, but honestly, nobody's bought any, so I don't know if I'm going to keep making them.
They're flying off the shelves.
Yeah.
Weed.
So maybe I'll do the designs, and then just keep them handy in case somebody does want one, but we'll see. Anyway.
We could just go tag cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. Regardless of all that, thank you for listening. I do appreciate everybody who is listening. Please check out our Spotify playlist, though. That's something that's really cool, because you can listen to all the songs from all the seasons in one big playlist without having to listen to us talk about them.
Right.
Also, all the songs are on our website, belongingsongs.com. These Menu songs are only on the website right now because I'm saving them until we get the first
Release them as a
collection to
batch.
release. Yeah.
Good stuff.
So we're going to get out of here.
Cool.
We'll see you again next time. Bye.
Bye.
That's good. Boom, done. Next.